Welcome to the channel. Today we shall be discussing about a very unique topic, that is a failed state concept and assessment framework. The states are declared failed based on different indicators such as social indicators including demographic pressure, refugees and IDPs, group grievance, human rights and brain drain, and economic indicators like uneven economic development, poverty and economic decline, and the other indicators like state legitimacy, public services, human rights and rule of law, security apparatus, and factionalized elites and external intervention categorized as political and military indicators. The scoring can be like this. If the total score is 0 to 30, it is a sustainable and a stable state. If it is 31 to 60, it's a warning. If it is 61 to 90, it's a high alert. And if it is above 91 to 120, then it is critically a failed state. Coming to the point, what is a failed state? A failed state is generally understood as a political entity that has lost the ability to perform basic functions of a sovereign government. Scholars, policymakers, and organizations like the Fund for Peace, which produces the annual Fragile State Index, identify several specific parameters or indicators that signal state failure. Now we come to the structure overview. The number one indicators, let us explain, that is security and a monopoly of violence. This includes the factors like inability to maintain a monopoly on the legitimate use of force by the state, presence of warlords, militants, insurgents, groups, or organized crime controlling territories, persistent civil war, insurgency, or a terrorism, and then widespread violence against civilians. The number two factors or the indicators is legitimacy of the state, lack of trust by its citizens in state institutions, corruption, rapid corruption, and clientelism, disregard for constitutional order, or frequent unconstitutional changes of the government, that is, coup, weak rule of law, and absence of independence judiciary. Here, by the term clientelism, it is a political system in which politicians or powerful elites or individuals provide favors, jobs, contracts, money, or other benefits to people or groups in exchange for political supports, votes, or to purchase their loyalty. For example, a politician gives government job only to supporters or members of a particular group rather than selecting the most qualified candidates. In short, clientelism is equal to exchanging public benefits for political loyalty, often undermining merit, fairness, and good governance. The third important indicator is effective governance and services. For example, collapse of public services like healthcare, education, water, and infrastructure. And then inability to enforce laws or deliver justice, administrative paralysis, and loss of bureaucratic capacity. The fourth common indicator is economic stability. That is, for example, sharp and sustained economic decline, rampant inflation, currency collapse, or inability to pay state employees, high unemployment and poverty rates, loss of state control over natural resources and trade. Number fifth important factor is, or the indicator is, human rights and social protection, consisting of the following four factors, that is, widespread human rights abuses, persecution of minorities, ethnic cleansing or genocide, mass displacement of populations, refugees, internally displaced persons, that is, IDPs, breakdown of social cohesion, and trust between the groups. The sixth important factor is external relations. Internationally, isolation or sanctions, loss of control over borders, reliance on foreign intervention, military or humanitarian, for survival. Harboring or being overrun by transnational terrorists and criminal networks. By transnational terrorist or criminal networks, they are organized groups and operate across the border of multiple countries. They carry out support, they carry out terrorist activities in more than one country. For example, recruitment, financing, training, or and attacks. These criminals engage in illegal activities across countries such as drug trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering, cyber crime, or weapons smuggling. In simple terms, they are the organizations where members operate, funding or activities span several countries rather than being confined to one nation. The other common composite indicators which are used by researchers to determine whether its state is failed or not. The number one is a fragile state index, that is the parameters by Fund for Peace. Fund for Peace uses 12 indicators grouped into social, economic, and political oblique military dimensions. The other important evaluating agency is World Bank governance indicators, including political stability, government effectiveness, rule of law, and control of corruption. The third group is the third researcher group is UN and OECD measures. They consider the factors like capacity, authority, and legitimacy as pillar of state resilience. In summary, in short, a state is typically called failed when it cannot control its territory, protect its people, provide basic services, maintain legitimacy, or interact responsibly with the international system. Somalia, Syria at the height of the civil war, and Afghanistan under Taliban insurgency have often been cited as examples of the failed states. Now, another important factor, important index which is which is titled as Fragile State Index, that is FSI. Let's now build checklist style framework similar to how the Fragile State Index works. The FSI uses 12 core indicators, each scored from 0, that is most stable, to 10, that is most fragile. The total score ranges from 0 to 120, where higher scores indicate greater fragility or state failure. Here is the structured scoring checklist you can apply to any country. The first factor is social indicators, that is demographic pressure, including population growth, disease outbreaks, food insecurity, natural disasters. Score from 0, that is no pressure, to 10, severe demographic crisis. Somalia has been rated as total score of 9.0 and Afghanistan at 8.5. The next factor of the indicator of the social indicator is refugees and internally displaced person, that is IDPs. They are displacement due to conflict, persecution, or disasters. If the score is 0, none. The score is 10, it means massive displacement. The Somalian state score is 10.0. The Afghanistan score is 9.5 in this category. Then third factor of social indicators is group grievances. Ethnic, religious, or regional tensions, discriminations, and exclusion, etc., etc. If the score is 0, none. If the score is 10, violent, identity-based conflict. Somalia score is 9.5 and Afghanistan score is 9.0 in this category. Then come human flights and brain drain. Migration of professional elite or citizen due to insecurity or lack of opportunity. If the score is 0, none. If it is 10, it is severe outflow. Afghanistan, Somalia has been allocated 9 marks and Afghanistan has been allocated 8.5 marks. The subtotal for social indicators for Somalia is 37.5 and for Afghanistan is 35.5. Coming to the other factors, that is B is economic indicators. Consisting of the item uneven economic development, wealth gaps between groups and the regions, crony capitalism, resource inequality. Score is 0, equitable development, and if it is 10, there are extreme disparities. Somalia score in this category is 8.5 and Afghanistan score in this category is 8.0. Then it's poverty and economic decline, unemployment, inflation, debt crisis, inability to provide for basic needs. If the score is 0, it is a healthy economy. If it is 10, the economy is totally collapsed. Somalia score is 9.5. Afghanistan score is 9.0. So economic indicator subtotal, Somalia total score is 18.0 and Afghanistan total score or ranking is 17.0. Then come the third C category, that is political and military indicators. The first one is state legitimacy, corruption, rigged elections, breakdown of constitutional order, distrust of institution. If the score is 0, it's high legitimacy. If the score is 10, no legitimacy. Somalia score in this category is 9.5. Afghanistan score in this category is 9.0. Then come public services, access to health, education, sanitation, security, and infrastructure. If the score is 0, it's the high quality services. If the score is 10, no functioning services. Somalia score is 9.5 and Afghanistan score is 9.0. To continue to this category, the next factor is human rights and rule of law. That is, political repression, censorship, arbitrary arrest, violence against civilians. The score is 0, the strong protection is there. If the score is 10, there are severe abuses. Somalia score is 9.5 and Afghanistan score is 9.0. The next factor is under the category political and military, that is security apparatus, military coups, parliament, parli- paramilitaries, insurgency, inability to control territory. If the score is 0, monopoly of force. If the score is 10, there is a total chaos and warlords. In Somalia, the total score is 10.0 as warlords operating the whole country, and situation in Afghanistan is more or less the same, scoring to the level of 9.5. Then, fractionalized elites, political deadlock, power struggle, clientelism, collapse of governance. If the score is 0, cohesive leadership. If the score is 10, the leadership fragmented and paralyzed. Somalia's score in this category is 9.5 and Afghanistan's score in this category is 9.0. The final factor is external intervention. Reliance on foreign aid, peacekeepers, foreign military involvement, sanctions, etc., etc. The score is 0. The state is totally self-reliant. If the score is 10, it is heavily dependent on outsiders. Somalia's score is 9.0 and Afghanistan's score is 9.5. The subtotal of this category is 57.0 and in case of Afghanistan it is 55.0. The total score in case of Somalia it is 112.5. In case of Afghanistan it is 10.5. As far as our country, our motherland is concerned, that is Pakistan, I urge you to make your own judgment. You score the Pakistan in every category, then come to the total and decide for yourself what is the what is the status of our country in respect of whether the state is collapsing, it's a failed state or otherwise. Summary, we can say Somalia is the most fragile of the three with the highest FSI score, signaling profound instability across all dimensions. Of all the three means, Somalia, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, it also ranks among the world's most fragile states, though slightly better than Somalia in 2024. As Pakistan is concerned, it is little bit fragile, score significantly lower if we score it, indicating that relative to others, it maintains more capacity and stability across several indicators. Key takeaway, Somalia is a critical failure, the most fragile and failed state. Afghanistan is a critical failure, extremely fragile, suffers from armed conflict and stability remain elusive under Taliban regime. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan could be considered as somewhat fragile. There is a caution mark that is high alert, but it is not a failed state. It has not collapsed. Pakistan faces serious governance, economic, and security challenges, but it still remains. It's still a functioning institution and some service capacity. Finally, let us remember the graveyard of nations is filled with flags that once waved proudly over empty promises. With this, we conclude our discussion on the subject of a failed state concept and assessment and framework assessment. Thank you for your listening. Stay tuned, stay connected. Thank you, and thank you very much.